Okay, I think we are good to go. Let us resume. So, before break, we were discussing, we were trying to understand that if you are a stakeholder, what sort of ratios you would look to take the decisions. Now, we were fixing our opinion from a perspective of a lending manager or a credit manager. And we are trying to see that what sort of ratios would the lending manager want to see before deciding whether to disburse the loan or not. So one discussion was that we bifurcated, we fixed our objective that we want to safeguard ourselves against a default and precisely against default against interest payment as well as principal repayment. Now, because the nature of interest payment and principal repayment is different, that is why we are looking at both of them separately one by one. Right now, we are looking at principal repayment. Then the discussion that went about is that so far some of the pointers had come that you would look at asset position. In that also, somebody said that look at long-term assets. Then the counterpoint was that asset themselves might not be sufficient information. You would want to know that of all the assets, how much already existing claims that outside parties have. So for that, we calculated a ratio called debt to total asset ratio or debt to equity ratio to find out that how much of asset is available freely for you to liquidate in case of a default. Now, the next point was that we would look at collateral. So if somebody has a good collateral, good value collateral, then we would be feeling safe about our principal. Okay, fine, makes sense. My question is that if you have a good collateral, but you don't have a good debt to equity ratio, can I still go ahead and assume that my principal is safe because I have a collateral?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, yes and no. Only two options, or it depends, or don't care.
No, sir.
Fine. We'll try to see. So, I think for this class, I can go ahead and assume that you all must have witnessed this subprime crisis that resulted into the recession of 2008 onwards. Right? Subprime crisis.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Early
sir.
days of career.
Sorry, come again?
Yes, sir.
Early days of my career.
Okay, early days of your career. Okay, fine. So, fine. So, somebody was in school or college or early day of the career or I don't know when, it doesn't matter. As long as you know the point that we are talking about subprime crisis and the global recession that followed. Now, what led to this huge global level catastrophe? What was subprime crisis? What is subprime in subprime crisis? Anybody?
So people, the loans were taken by people to build assets like houses without actually taking care of whether they can actually pay it back. If they cannot sell
Sir,
down.
what is guaranteed was subprime.
Okay. So one by one, please. So one opinion is that, or rather one piece of information is that subprime crisis resulted because housing loans were disbursed without giving due consideration to the repayment capacity. Okay, repayment capacity was not seen. Why would somebody give a loan even if without even thinking repayment capacity? Yeah, Shailesh, go ahead.
So basically, it is the collateral which was the house itself was
Because
used as
house
collateral.
itself was collateral. Yes, this was the catch in this entire crisis. That in subprime crisis, why would a lending manager ignore the repayment capacity in giving loan? That's all we are doing right now from past 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes. That we are trying to think that if somebody has come to me for a loan, what sort of questions we would ask, what sort of analysis we would do. But here are these borrowers who, or rather lenders who did not see the repayment capacity of the borrowers and still gave away the loans. Now, what was the rationale? The rationale was that house itself was a collateral. Now, what am I trying to say? Using this example, I am trying to give you a hint of how an insufficient basis to take any decision. If you take a decision based on certain fact, which at max could have been a supporting evidence, it cannot be the entire criteria itself. How would you do? Okay, then
Prabhati, please mute.
प्रकृति में विद्रोह कर दिया लग रहा है. नहीं पढ़ेंगे. Okay, no problem.
नहीं सर, sorry sir.
Okay, fine. हम पढ़ा के रहेंगे. Anyway, what I'm talking about is that it's very subtle. It seems so intuitive that I have a collateral. What can go wrong? Actually, a lot can go wrong. And just because these people from US did not attend my classes, the entire economy suffered. Maybe so many countries suffered because this is. Do you guys know these jargons called necessary condition and necessary and sufficient condition? कभी सुना है maths वाले especially necessary condition and sufficient condition? Anybody has heard of it?
Yes, sir.
Sir, limits, differences.
Limits. Okay, fine. Basically, necessary condition means that ये तो होना ही चाहिए. This is necessary. That you, unless this condition is fulfilled, our whatever criteria is not met. And sufficient is that that's all we want. Now, if you mix these two, for example, collateral was one of the assurity. But just because you had one assurity, you put aside all the rest of the criteria and you decided to give loan. That's why these loans were subprime loans. What is subprime in the subprime crisis? That these people, otherwise speaking, did not deserve the loan. Why didn't they deserve the loan? Because they did not have repayment capacity. Then loosely speaking, banks को कौन सा कीड़ा काटा था कि वो लोन दे दिया? That कीड़ा is called collateral. They were saying that house itself is collateral and it is such a good collateral that we don't want to see anything. What happened in US? So if people looked at past history, let's say just a little while ago, we studied all this horizontal, vertical and trend analysis and whatnot that look at the history, right? So they looked at history. They looked at past 5 years of the housing prices data. It was like this. Housing prices went up. They looked at past 10 years data. Housing price went up. They looked at past 15 years, 20 years, past 30 years. They saw that past 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, housing prices are only going up. What are you going to conclude by this? Housing prices will go up. Right? From past 30 years, they are being going up. That means they will go up. They fail to consider that this must be resulting into a bubble. The more it goes up, the more is the probability that the bubble will burst and the housing prices will fall down. But the assumption was that they just went to the historical data. They found out that the housing prices was going up. And let us say somebody comes to you for a loan of, let us say, 30 lakh rupees. What is in guarantee? They say, I don't have any money. Give me the loan. You will ask that, if you don't have any money, show us at least the salary received, what kind of salary you are drawing. They say, I don't even have a job. Give me the loan. Typically, the response should be get lost, right? Unfortunately, here the loan itself was against the houses. And what was happening, that if somebody takes a 30 lakh loan, let us say 1%, 2% down payment they give, just a very nominal amount. Then what happens to the housing prices? Let us say 1 year after the payment time of repayment comes, that first installment is due. Then there are only two conditions: the person will pay up or person will not pay up. If person pays up, good, no problem at all. If person doesn't pay up, by then the housing prices would have already gone up to 33 lakhs. Then what can you do? You can sell these houses in the market and not only recover your money, but maybe a little bit of interest. And if you have any other surplus money, you can return it, or depending on what is your terms of contract. Now, this scheme was perfect, all right, but it has a very severe catch. The catch is it's based on an assumption that housing prices will go up in future. If that doesn't hold up, then the entire model collapses. That's exactly what led to such a severe crisis globally. What was the mistake? There were 2 or 3-fold mistake. One was that a necessary condition was deemed to be a sufficient condition, that if you have a good quality collateral, that's all that we need. Next one was that to determine the good quality collateral, they looked at certain data and they failed to understand the entirety of the data. They based on a premise which was not realistic for a very long period of time. So the moment it burst, housing prices plummeted. Suddenly there was oversupply of the houses being seized in the market. Then it meant even more loan default. Then even more loans, houses getting seized off, and prices even fell further. That's what led to this subprime crisis, and then that resulted into the global financial crisis of 2008 and onwards, and heavyweights collapsed. Bottom line of this example, very simple, is that when you do your understanding, do not lose focus from the objectives, and do not lose focus to understand the evidences in their entirety. Don't look at the small pieces and either exaggerate them to a very great level or to reduce them to a very small level of the importance. Put them at their relative importance to where they belong. That's the understanding here. So bottom line here is that even if somebody is giving a very good quality collateral, you still need to do rest of the analysis anyway, to ensure that maybe if you have a collateral, then maybe you will be a little bit slightly relaxed in rest of the criteria, but it nowhere means that you just completely disregard all rest of the criteria and give loan to anybody and everybody. Yeah, Shweta, go ahead.
So one question regarding the don't take sir, one thing. So in the COVID scenario also, what is happening is government is putting on liquidity in the market, and still the houses, if you see, the house prices are increasing. Don't you think that is creating kind of a bubble market? And
see, there are a lot of bubbles that are getting formed. Now, what is a bubble? Bubble is simply if the prices do not follow the fundamentals.
correct.
If prices do not follow the fundamentals. So the more disjoint they are, the more will be the every increase, the more will be the likelihood that suddenly they will bump back. Okay, if you ask my opinion, I would say that even in stock market, there is a bubble formation. That currently I don't see that the performance of the Indian businesses has become that great that warrants such kind of a huge valuation. But it's okay. Maybe people are seeing certain signs that the kind of hit that it should have taken, it did not take that hit. That means is giving us a kind of a confidence that if things bounce back, then there will be a tremendous growth suddenly. There will be a spurt of a growth. Only thing is that when will this bubble burst? When there will be certain trigger. Let us say the COVID is over in next year. I don't see it is getting over next year, but let's see it's over next year. In 22, 23, the businesses do not perform according to what the investors are expecting now. Then suddenly you will see that things will start collapsing. But if they perform, then things will go as. So only thing is that fundamentals also, different people will have different understanding of their fundamentals. Only thing is that if they are going in a two different directions, then the farther they go, more people will start to notice that there is a mismatch. Same with housing prices. Housing prices, I don't know, they were inflated long back, still inflated. But anyway, professors don't even think about housing prices. We cannot afford, so let's not think about that. बताओ भाई, श्वेता.
सर एक क्वेश्चन ये है, जब हम लोन्स की बात कर रहे थे, जब हम
there is joking also in between.
Huh?
So I'm asking, sir, when we talk about loans, we see all this parameter, debits और ये और वो. लेकिन in the reality, if you go and see कि आपको बोलेंगे हाँ आपकी salary slip दे दो, for that is all has happened with me. But और CIBIL score अगर थोड़े ऊपर नीचे भी होते तो they give you. Kind of analysis I've not seen being done.
Fine. What Shweta is mentioning is really interesting. चलो एक scam कराया, एक और scam करा देते हैं. अभी CIBIL scam करा देते हैं. अभी collateral scam कराया ना CIBIL.
सर मैंने खुद ने किया, यानी मैंने क्या किया कि क्रेडिट कार्ड का बिल कभी था वो भर दिया और सिविल स्कोर मैंने अपना बढ़ा दिया, तो फिर मेरा हाउसिंग लोन कम हो गया. ये तो काइंड ऑफ वो किया ही है ना ऐसे. Manipulation.
Okay, fine. Let us see. Hold on, Shweta. I think we got your question. अब जवाब भी तो सुन लो, नहीं तो पूरा क्लास क्वेश्चन में ही जाएगा तो जवाब कब देंगे. भावनाओं को समझ गया मैं, और थोड़ी सी बची रह गई होंगी तो जवाब के बाद बताना. What we are trying to say, let us take off this CIBIL score. Okay. Now this CIBIL score is what? It's your past track record, right?
Yes, sir.
It's almost like it says that you are a Lannister or not. So Game of Thrones jokes. जिसने नहीं देखा उसको नहीं समझ में आएगा. Basically, you have been paying up. That you always pay your debt. Okay. What does that mean? Once again, it exactly brings me to a situation of difference between necessary condition and sufficient condition. Let us say somebody has been paying his debt always. I will take a name. Let us say the name is Malya. V Malya. Okay. I don't know. V can be anything. And this guy has always been paying his debt. He took a loan from a bank A, loan of 2 crore rupees, squandered off all the money spent on, let us say, Kingfisher calendar or purchasing Tipu Sultan ka sword or whatnot. But when the date of payment comes, he made the payment. What will you think of this guy? Means something really phenomenal, right?
Correct.
Only thing he was doing is that this time he took a 4 crore ka loan from bank B and उसमें से 2 का फिर अय्याशी मारा और 2 इसको दे दिया. The date of payment comes to for bank B, but this guy has a setting with bank C now. Suddenly this time he takes a loan of 8 crore rupees. What will you see? You will see a huge CIBIL score or equivalent of it. That past track record is tremendous. This guy is not earning a penny, but still he is able to meet all the loans. Only thing is that you didn't go into the detailed explanation. You put aside rest of the explanation. If you would have indulged into rest of the exploration of the information, you would have seen that he is just rolling over debt. As long as this rolling over is allowed, this guy will never get caught. The only period this guy will get caught is if somebody puts his foot down and says, no, I'm not going to give you any loan because your fundamentals do not support it. Just because you have a past history doesn't mean anything. Today you are in no condition to pay me back. Then suddenly this will become a scam. या शशांक बताओ कुछ भावना है?
लेकिन सर हाँ एक भावना है. तो सर इसमें भी तो जब आप एक लोन से किसी दूसरे जब तक आप एक लोन से किसी दूसरे लोन का रीपेमेंट करते हो तो वो भी एक तरीके से आपके सिबिल स्कोर को अफेक्ट करता है ना.
वो इम्प्रूव करेगा आपको. क्या they are not going to check whether you have taken more loan or not. They will only check that whether you have done timely payment or not.
They don't have the complete access of your records actually.
मान लीजिए complete access भी हो, if you are going to give this particular fact that your total loan is also rising, only then it is going to affect it, right? But your CIBIL score, in fact, the more loan you take, the more it goes up. Only criteria is that you keep on making payment. So the score itself is faulty. Why it is faulty? Because people have not understood its true relevance. Its true relevance is that it should be only a necessary condition. It can never be a sufficient condition. Just because you have paid in past doesn't mean that you will be able to pay in future. It only means that if your CIBIL also is low, that means I need more information. That is what should be the correct usage of a CIBIL score. That means that अगर आपने past में भी default किया है तब तो आपको हम नहीं देंगे. That should be the use of CIBIL score. It should not be other way around, that if you have paid in past, that means I am comfortable. Here, take my money and get lost. ठीक है, समझ में आया? That's again a mismatch or rather misunderstanding of what was a necessary condition was confused as a sufficient condition. So the moment you confuse this, you are looking for trouble. Its relevance should only be that in past, if you have not done anything bad, that means there are no red flags. At least here. In past also you have done something bad means that there is a red flag. Here itself, I don't want to deal with you. That's all should be the relevance. You cannot decide to give a loan or based upon whether somebody has a good salary and CIBIL score. Okay? There can be certain situation that I will come to. What Shweta was talking about is that personal loan. It's still,
sir, if I may add,
yeah.
Financiers generally would consider the amount of loan a person has taken basis his income in the past history, and then they will see whether he was eligible for those loans instead of rotating the loans.
Mm-hmm.
There are triggers internally built generally
Mm-hmm.
financiers to kind of track this.
Forget about that, Sanjeev. What am I saying is that what is available today itself also people are not ready to analyze. They are saying that look at CIBIL score, look at some broad, small here and there information and give the loan. You are saying go to the past and determine that whether a good decision was made in that point of time. That would be tremendous. But in practice, that's exactly what I'm cautioning, Shweta, in case you are listening. I'm cautioning that don't do this. What we are saying here is that these kind of practices, these kind of shortcuts lead to crisis. And these crises can be as big as the global crisis of 2008 and onwards. Just simple mistake that you gave to a loan to a person who did not deserve. You thought it's
Sir, many times,
but
many
it
times,
yeah, it led to collapse of big economies. Okay, so it's very important when money is involved, you should take the decision in its entirety. Try to analyze, do not try to over analyze. ऐसा नहीं कि एक ही लोन लेने में आपने 50 साल लगा दिया और लोन दिया ही नहीं. So the kind of example I want to give is that there is one lending manager who will never face a default, and it is that lending manager who never gave a loan. आपने ना लोन दो ना कोई default करेगा. But that's not the purpose why you're sitting there, right? The purpose is that you want to disburse loan to all the deserving candidates. Only your purpose is that stop where you find any undeserving candidate. So that's what we are trying to understand here, that how do you filter out these information, that you should understand the perspective in which the information should be used. If you give more importance or less importance, in both direction, you are going to make error. If you don't give it importance at all, you are going to make an error. If you give it too much importance, then also you are going to make an error. Okay, fine.
So just one thing, sorry for butting in. You were mentioning that the bubble of the stock market is going to burst. Now these.
अरे नहीं, अरे प्रकृति ऐसा कैसे सुन, तभी तो recording available करवाया by the way. All I said is that if it is not backed by fundamentals, then it may burst.
No, so अभी तो मार्केट में पैसा इतना है नहीं. कोविड की वजह से people are losing out on jobs.
पैसा लोगों के पास.
No, but in general, the projection that is coming in, I mean, I'm just taking some time off the class, that the people are losing jobs, salary cuts हो रहे हैं, काफी कंपनीज जो हैं वो अपने पिछले ईयर से प्रॉफिट्स में और इन सब चीजों में थोड़ा सा डाउनवर्ड वो स्लोप दिखा रही हैं. But the stock market is only increasing and rising, and analysts are predicting कि मतलब by the end of 2022 it may touch 18,000, NSE will touch 18,000 काफी हाई जाएगा. So what are these analysis based on?
These are all future projections. Stock market, whenever you see stock market prices, they are not based on what the situation is today. They are based on what will be the situation in next 10 years. So that's what these projections are based on, that in next 10 years they see a good recovery and big boom.
So if at all one has to invest, say,
अभी investment के unfortunately प्रकृति, I'm so sorry to stop you there. In investment की class अभी कर नहीं रहे हैं. पहले financial statement analysis पढ़ लो. Investment का अलग से कर लेना, ठीक है? इसी का मुझे time short पड़ रहा है. Investment की बातें कहाँ से बताऊंगा? Okay. Maybe in the last few moments of this class, we will briefly touch this point again. But I don't know, depending upon how fast we can go for rest of the topics. Okay, fine. So now I'll speed up slightly bit. What I was trying to say here, that these examples are simply to give you certain real life scenario, that whatever we are talking about, it's not wishful thinking that just to make my course very important, sound my course very important, I'm saying these things. These things we see examples day after day, year after year, entity after entity. Bank में तो हर every 20 days or 30 days somebody is getting caught that banks did not give loan properly. Why? Because maybe some lending manager has a setting, but if they didn't have a setting, then that is the most pathetic one. कि ना तो आपको setting के पैसे मिले, ना तो आपकी job बचेगी, आप जेल जाओगे.
Mostly the bank managers and builders have a very good setting actually.
Yeah. So that point being apart, that is a legal thing. What I'm saying is that आपको ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि just by looking at the common practice, you base your opinion. No, don't do that. You should always look at the common practice with the extreme amount of caution, because financial sector all the times people don't understand things. ये कहाँ से समझ के नहीं आए, and somebody has joined the job. You have money, you can start a business. You have a business, you get to hire whosoever you want. And the person doesn't understand finance. They will take all sort of decisions. Just because one person is stupid doesn't mean that whatever decision they are taking, you have to take. Okay, so keep your own wisdom open. Just question. They might be right. I'm not saying that everybody except you is stupid. What I'm saying is that question the relevance of the existing practices. Don't just take them कि अरे ये तो ऐसे ही सालों से चला आ रहा है. That must mean it must be right. The theory must be incorrect. No, it's not necessary. Is that all I'm saying? Okay, let us put our attention to the second criteria, that how do you decide that your periodic payment is safe?
कैश फ्लो,
कैश फ्लो देखेंगे. ओके, और क्या देखेंगे?
शॉर्ट टर्म लायबिलिटी,
शॉर्ट टर्म लायबिलिटी देखेंगे. ठीक है, और क्या देखेंगे? इंटरेस्ट किधर से आएगा? हाउ डू यू से दैट इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट द बिजनेस विल हैव इनफ मनी टू पे इंटरेस्ट?
सर सेल्स
देखेंगे. ओके, और क्या देखेंगे?
प्रॉफिट मार्जिन.
प्रॉफिट मार्जिन देख लेंगे. परफेक्ट. ओके, एनीथिंग एल्स?
CFO.
Positive cash flow from operations.
ओके, शॉर्ट टर्म असेट्स देख लेंगे. शॉर्ट टर्म असेट, शॉर्ट टर्म लायबिलिटी, सब कुछ देख लिया. बहुत ही बढ़िया बात. गुड. Basically everybody understands two things, that one is that this is periodic payment and one is that this is a short term payment. So for balance sheet you are all referring to the short term components, and apart from that you are referring to the periodic components that are either cash flows or income statement. That is perfectly all right. Now before that I need to give you a format. Let us say you would want to say, so what is the profit obligation, interest obligation for a 5 lakh rupees of a loan? 5 lakh rupees of a loan, my interest obligation was 50,000 rupees per year. I had assumed that 10% का loan ले रहे. Now how much profit would you be satisfied with? If I am making a profit of, let us say 1,30,000, are you happy? Are you sure that I will make enough profit to give you interest?
Yeah, if it's net profit.
Net profit लिख लो यार, कोई बात नहीं. Net profit लिख देते हैं. Okay, here net profit.
Yes, we are good.
130 is good. How about 50,000 only? Are you happy?
no,
50,000 not happy. How about 55,000 rupees? Not happy?
No, sir.
Okay. Why are you not happy? I am having more profit than the amount of interest I'm going to have.
Sir, at least half the price, at 50%. आपने अपने खर्चे बिताए.
Okay. अपने खर्चे भी. Okay, this is
Conservatism.
Akash's point is interesting. He is saying कि अपने खर्चे भी तो हैं. Okay, just keep that in mind. Fine. Yeah, Shailesh, go ahead.
There is a risk. Actually, the profit is something which will be variable, so there should be sufficient cushion or margin.
The profit is variable. That today you have this much. What is the guarantee that tomorrow also you will have this much? Right? That is a concern. So let us say I need certain cushion. The cushion is for what purpose? The cushion is for the purpose that business is prone to fluctuations. Right? So
Right.
let us say my cushion is 2 times that. If I am happy with 1 rupee of profit, let us say, so I want you to have at least 2 rupee of profit. Why? Because I think that because of variability itself, it may fall down 50%. So in that case also I am good. ये समझ में आया? What am I talking about cushion? I am talking about whatever is my ratio that I am looking for. I want it to be 2 times the performance that I want. If I want to look at sales, I want to look at twice the sales. Let's say if I'm happy with, let us say 8 lakh rupees of sales. So I would not be happy with exactly 8 lakh. I want you to show at least 16 lakh in this year. Why? Because in next year, even if you have a bad year, you will still have at least 8 lakh of sales. कि अगर वो घट के half भी आ गया तो I'm still good. ये समझ में आया? 2 times what am I talking about? Okay, let us say because of market fluctuation, you were not happy with the exact number, you wanted certain cushion, and that cushion is 2 times, just for convenience sake. If you think that business is extremely volatile, maybe you would want 3 times cushion. If you think business is volatile but not that much, maybe you would want 1.5 times cushion. So this cushion depends upon how volatile the business is. My question is going to be that on what number are you going to assign this cushion? Let us say this 2 times cushion. What should be 2 times?
obligations.
एक बार मैं बता देता हूं पहले. before going to that, I will create a format of an income statement slightly differently. Now, this kind of a format is prepared for analysis purposes. Okay, so we will have income statement, but it will look slightly differently as far as the numbers are concerned or the line items are concerned. So income statement will look something like this. You will have sales minus cost of goods sold. This number will be called gross profit. From gross profit, you subtract other expenses except depreciation and amortization. All the other expenses you subtract. This number is called EBITDA, earning before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. Okay. From EBITDA, you subtract depreciation and amortization. Then this number is called EBIT. EBIT. From EBIT, if you subtract interest, then this number is called EBT, earning before tax. From this, if you subtract taxes, that's what gives you net profit. Okay. So basically, we have computed some 3-4 different levels of profitability. One level of profitability is gross profit. From gross profit, you subtract other expenses, it's called EBITDA. From EBITDA, you subtract depreciation and amortization, it is called EBIT or EBIT. From EBIT, you subtract interest, it is called EBT. And from interest, EBT, you subtract taxes, this is the number that is called net profit. Okay. Now, let me make your life even more convenient. That let us say we are talking about the numbers which are after incorporating the existing interest. Okay, after incorporating existing interest of 50,000 rupees. Let us say आज की प्रॉफिट में ही यहाँ पे जितना भी इंटरेस्ट था उसमें 50,000 और जोड़ दिया. Then how should the numbers look like? Okay. All these are existing numbers, and the only difference is that in this interest we have included this existing burden also that is going to become if we decide to give the party a loan. Now the question is going to be that how much do you think this company should have net profit, or rather let me frame the question more properly. We said that we want a 2 times of cushion. Now this 2 times of cushion, should it be 2 times of 50,000 as net profit? Should it be 2 times of 50,000 as EBT? Should it be EBIT? Should it be EBITDA? Should it be gross profit, or should it be sales? कौन सा number पे लगाएंगे ये?
Net profit.
Question.
Net profit पे.
Net profit पे लगाएंगे. Before that, those who have not responded, question सबको समझ में आ गया? What am I asking? You wanted safety of the interest payment. You are saying that because of the fluctuation of the performance itself, I want a cushion of 2 times. Now this 2 times of cushion, your reference money is 50,000 of interest. This is what you want to safeguard. Now 2 times makes it 1 lakh rupees. So ये 1 lakh rupees का performance किस level पे आप ढूंढेंगे? Would you want them to have a net profit of 1 lakh? Or would you want them to have a EBT of net 1 lakh? Would you want them to have EBIT of 1 lakh or EBITDA of 1 lakh or gross profit or sales? What? So one opinion is net profit. Yes. That after considering, as somebody was mentioning कि अपना भी तो कुछ खर्चा होगा. That after considering all the खर्चा, you are applying it to net profit. Fine. Any other opinions?
EBT.
That's one.
Sir, EBT maybe because tax से पहले उतना होना चाहिए.
Okay, EBT. Okay, another opinion is EBT. Any other opinion?
Sorry, sir, EBIT, interest से पहले, not tax, interest से पहले.
Okay, why did you switch from EBT to EBIT?
सर वो मैं EBIT बोल रहा था because हम 50,000 is the interest that we are paying. So जो just before उससे मेरा value है that is EBIT. So I need to take care of the EBIT. I don't care उसके बाद उसको कितना टैक्स देना है, क्या करना है, नेट प्रॉफिट बच रहा है नहीं बच रहा. मेरे को देने से पहले उसके पास EBIT में कितना पैसा है, that should I take care of.
5 marks to Hufflepuff. क्या है भाई, कौन सा हाउस में? ग्रिफिंडोर में हो गया तुम. You understood his response? What he's talking about?
Sir, Ravenclaw. We are the intelligent ones.
Okay, fine. What we are trying to say here is that you understood what Pulkit just now noticed. he is saying कि हमको तो अपने 50,000 की सेफ्टी से मतलब है, right? Let us say after paying your interest, the company did not have anything left and they had a 0 rupee of profit. How do you care? आपका तो तभी भी पैसा सेफ है. Now let me show you what I be talking about. That how we would have made a mistake if we apply this 2 lakh of a criteria to net profit. So there are two opinions to consider here: EBT versus net profit. Before that, any other contenders? Anybody wants to give any other opinion here? Okay, 2 is good enough. Let us demonstrate that. Pulkit is saying that apply this 2 times to EBT, EBIT, and some other people, I forgot. I'm so sorry, I forgot your names. Some people are saying, I think 2-3 people said that apply this 2 times to net profit. Now, how would you make a mistake if you apply this 2 times of criteria to net profit, and how it would be a correct thing to do if you apply it only to EBIT and no other line? Let me demonstrate. What am I trying to tell you is, I'll just synthesize all of this in a little bit. Let us imagine a situation that this company has a net profit of 1 lakh rupees. Okay. कोई एक टैक्स रेट अज्यूम कर लेते हैं. लेट अस से द टैक्स रेट ऑफ दिस कंपनी इज जस्ट फॉर कन्वीनियंस सेक 50% मान लेते हैं, जस्ट फॉर ईज ऑफ कंप्यूटेशन. सो हाउ मच EBT would have been? This company must have had 2 lakh rupees of EBT. Fine. That's how it paid 1 lakh rupee का tax, and then this company had 1 lakh का net profit. ये समझ में आ रहा है? What am I doing? I'm starting with the bottom line and then I'm going reverse up. Okay. Before that, this jargon just reminded me of these 2 jargons. Have you guys heard of the 2 phrases called top line and bottom line?
Yes, sir. Sales and net profit.
Yes,
and bottom line took a hit or something. So when they are mentioning top line and bottom line, it is of this statement they are mentioning bottom line is the net profit and top line is the sales. Okay? That is just a dictionary enhancement for you. So we are trying to work ourselves backwards. That there is a company which had exactly 1 lakh rupee of net profit. I am assuming a 50% of tax rate. So उनका EBT 2 lakh रुपए रहा होगा. ठीक है? Let us assume that this is the only interest that this company has, or let us assume 10,000 more. So 10,000 existing interest and 50,000 this new interest. So this interest would have been minus interest would have been 60,000. So how much would have been EBIT, interest earning before interest and tax कितना रहा होगा? 2,60,000. ये समझ आ रहा है? रिवर्स कैलकुलेशन समझ में आया? क्या किया अभी?
एक बार रिपीट कर दीजिए.
What did I do? I said I am going up with this opinion. So there are 2 opinions. One opinion was that apply this 2x criteria to EBIT, and competing opinion was that apply this 2x criteria to net profit. Okay, I'm giving you the correct answer right away, but I'm going to show you that why the other answer is incorrect. So the correct answer is that this makes sense only to apply 2x to EBIT and not net profit. To illustrate this, what am I going to say is that what would have happened if you would have applied this 2x criteria to net profit. ठीक है? तो there is one company which has just made your criteria. आपका क्राइटेरिया था कि unless 1 लाख का प्रॉफिट कोई कंपनी शो कर रहा है, उसको हम लोन नहीं देंगे. That's what it means. 1 लाख रुपए भी अगर आपका प्रॉफिट नहीं है, let us say your profit is only 80,000, then you will be denied the loan. ये समझ आया पॉइंट? That is what this criteria means, right? That you have applied this 2x criteria to net profit. That means you looked at net profit. You are saying interest burden is 50,000. 2 times I want safety net. So 2 times of 50,000 is 1 lakh. This guy has only 80,000 of net profit. So we will deny this person loan. Whereas there is another person, let us say this one was person A and this one was person B, or business A and business B. So you will approve the loan for business A, but you will deny the loan to business B. जहां तक समझ में आ गया? Why you would have done it? Because you applied your criteria on net profit. Now I am trying to demonstrate कि how you would end up making mistake in this case. तो ये कंपनी A का मैंने रिवर्स कैलकुलेट किया that how their income statement would look. I started with 1 lakh of profit because this is what I know, and I assumed a tax rate and I assumed existing interest. Existing interest was 10,000 मैंने माना, और because of this new loan 50,000 would be the interest. So that's what gives us total 60,000 of interest. तो अगर आपका earning before tax is 2 lakh rupees, after subtracting 60,000 of interest burden, so can you calculate how much must have been EBIT? 260 रहा होगा, तभी तो 260 में से 60 subtract करने के बाद 2 लाख बचा इधर. जहां तक समझ आ गया? Now you denied loan to a party who had let us talk about company B now. Company B had performance like this, 80,000 ka profit. They must have paid how much? 50% of tax. So they must have paid 40,000 ka tax. Their tax profit would have been how much? 1,60,000. अरे यार 80 सही लिखो. Okay. 1,60,000 रहा होगा. Subtract 60,000 का interest here. So this number must have been 20,000. Okay. Now what was your fear? Your fear was that this is current position. You allowed the loan to this company, but you denied the loan to company B. Now what was your fear? Your fear was that if the next year turns out to be a bad year, then the company B will not have enough money to pay you back. That's exactly what your fear was. कि उसके पास enough पैसे नहीं बचेंगे to pay my interest. Am I making sense here, right?
Yes, sir.
Your fear was that you denied loan to company B because you said that you don't have enough profit. Now, why did you wanted to know about the profit? Your fear was that if it turns out to be a bad year next year, the company will have a very bad performance and they will not have even enough money to pay back interest. Now let us imagine how will the performance of company B would have been if it is a bad year. Now how are we defining a bad year? In a bad year, every performance reduces by 50%. ऐसे define किया है ना? That is why you needed 2x का cushion. ये समझ में आ गया? ये जो अभी line वाली बोली मैंने. You are assuming that if it was a bad year, then whatever you are performing today, everything will fall down to 50%. So let us imagine how this company B would have performed if everything falls down to 50%. Your profit would have fallen down to 40,000 rupees. You would have given a tax of 40,000 rupees. Your earning before interest, earning before tax would have been how much? 80,000 rupees. This 80,000 rupees is after subtracting 60,000 rupees of interest burden. So you would have had resource pool available to the extent of 80 plus 60, which is how much? 140. In a bad year, this company had 1,40,000 to pay interest. लेकिन आपने इसको मना कर दिया लोन. Can you pay 60,000 out of 1,40,000? Is it possible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
समझ में आ रहा है? समझ में आ रहा है? Basically, here there are two type of errors that you are trying to balance. There is one thing is called type 1 error. ये कभी सुना type 1 error और type 2 error? सुना है तो नहीं, अच्छी बात है. नहीं सुना है तो अभी सुन लो. This is a statistical term, terms from statistics. I don't know which one is which, but the trade-off is that these are always the trade-off, not only in business but also in day-to-day life, is that at some point it's almost like you can say that there was a criminal who was guilty but you let him free. You made an error, right? समझ में आ गया कि आपका लॉ सिस्टम ऐसा है कि एक क्रिमिनल था लेकिन कभी किसी एक्सक्यूज की वजह से वो बच गया. Then you made an error. You can also make an error that you prosecuted and found somebody guilty whereas the person was innocent. Then also you made an error. Innocent को सजा दे दी, that is also an error. और guilty था वो बच गया, that is also an error. So this is the difference between type 1 and type 2 error. Here also we are trying to balance ourselves between the two. The people who deserve the loan, if we deny them the loan, we are making a type of an error. Similarly, if there was a person who did not deserve a loan, and if you give the loan to that person, then also you are making an error. You are trying to balance yourself between the two. Now, the bottom line of this discussion is that if you apply this 2x criteria to net profit, you are being too strict. And that's how, being too strict, you would deny the loan to some deserving candidates. Whereas, if your concern only was the interest payment, if you apply your 2x criteria to EBIT, then you will see that as long as this guy has 1 lakh rupee of a profit, then in a bad year, they will not default. Even, sorry, not 1 lakh, 1,20,000. That is existing interest plus new interest, 1,20,000. So as long as somebody has this much of a profit, like 120 minus 60 gives me how much? 60,000. Subtract net profit 30,000, and that gives me a profit of 30,000. So even to this company, you should have given the loan. Imagine your criteria was 2x, इसका profit तो आपका equal to 1x भी नहीं है. Interest का 1 times भी नहीं है. Still you should have given the loan to this guy. Why? Because let us see, in a bad year how their performance will become. In a bad year, this performance will fall down to 50%. So they have only 60,000 rupees to pay interests. ये 50% हो जाएगा, right? In a bad year. Yes. Now all this money is paid towards interest. Nothing is left for the company as a profit. So obviously there will be no taxes and no profits. You see, even this guy made it through even in a bad year. Now, how did we arrive at a correct solution? We arrived at a correct solution because this time we applied our 2x criteria to EBIT and not EBT or not net profit. Surprisingly speaking, that is why you have a ratio called interest coverage ratio, wherein the ratio is not net profit divided by interest, but rather it is EBIT divided by interest. अभी इतना ड्रामा आपको इंटरेस्ट कवरेज रेशियो पढ़ाने के लिए नहीं किया है. The objective of this discussion was that whenever you see certain ratio, then what should go in numerator and what should go in denominator should be dependent upon or should be derived from the purpose for which you are going to use this ratio. Now, interest coverage ratio, the purpose is to understand how safe the interest burden is. That even in a bad year, the company will be able to make the interest payment. Because the purpose is that you are trying to understand how safe the interest burden is, that is why in numerator you should have EBIT, not anything else. Okay, quick round of questions. Yeah, Rishabh, go ahead.
Sir, once we are seeing EBIT, so suppose he has multiple loans, तो उस केस में अगर मैं नया लोन दे रहा हूँ तो मुझे पता ही नहीं लगेगा उसको कितना इंटरेस्ट.
नहीं, उसका एग्जिस्टिंग इंटरेस्ट देख लीजिए. उसका एग्जिस्टिंग इंटरेस्ट तो आपको दिख जाएगा ना, और अपना इंटरेस्ट ऐड करके ये टोटल इंटरेस्ट यहाँ पे लिख दीजिए. That's what exactly I did. कि 10,000 उसका ऑलरेडी इंटरेस्ट था, and I added my interest 50,000. तभी तो आया ना ये this I want 2 times ratio and I have 60,000 का interest. That is how I know that EBIT should have been 1,20,000.
Okay. इस हिसाब से तो फिर we should see EBT.
हाँ, EBT, a very good point. Vishesh is saying that ये फिर पेमेंट के बाद ही देख लो. Unfortunately, Vishesh, in that situation, your 2 times criteria will not be working. For example, अगर मान लीजिए कि आपका ratio is that you are happy with 1x ratio, 1 time ratio पे भी आप happy हो, तो how much minimum of EBT should be? Should EBT should it be 50,000? अगर 50,000 है, ये 50 तो आपको आफ्टर पेइंग 60,000 का इंटरेस्ट आ रहा है ना, then this guy must have had a performance way better.
That way, though, I would subtract only 10,000 present interest. I would not consider
10,000 में तो then you are considering कि if somebody is taking a loan of 500,000 crore rupees, versus 5 lakh rupees, दोनों को आपने same platform पे डाल दिया if you are not considering the new interest that is going to come. So always in the denominator consider existing as well as new interest, because in the what is the purpose of this calculation? Purpose of this calculation is not where they stand today. The purpose this is that if the new loan is disbursed, will they be able to pay the interest? So इसमें unless you add the new interest that is going to arise, it doesn't make any sense. आप अपनी सेफ्टी नहीं कैलकुलेट कर रहे हो, आप सिर्फ ये कैलकुलेट कर रहे हो कि अगर और कोई लोन नहीं ले बिजनेस का, तो will this business continue to pay the interest or not? That is not what is the purpose of this calculation. ठीक है? Yes, Sanjeev, go ahead.
Sir, since depreciation and amortization both are non-cash, because capex has already been done, so from a business operation perspective, wouldn't EBITDA be a better, more
smart one? I want the rest of the class to hear this question and try to form an opinion. Sanjeev is asking that why stop at EBIT? Why not go back at EBITDA? If you notice what Sanjeev is noticing here, this one is just a non-cash expense, right? तो इसके भी पीछे लगा लेते. Our criteria would have been even more relaxed. We would not turn away anybody who is deserving the loan. Anybody would want to give a response to this? समझ में आया क्वेश्चन? सबको समझ में आ गया? फटाफट बताओ भाई, आज उतना टाइम नहीं है.
Yes sir. Yes sir.
बताओ, रिस्पांस बताओ. नहीं तो बताओगे नहीं, कुछ नहीं है. Okay, fine. I will assume 2 seconds silence means कोई response नहीं है. Basically, we will still not be applying this to EBITDA because maybe every year you don't have to spend on a new machinery or new equipment, but over a period of time, there is bound to be a maintenance capex. आप डेप्रिसिएशन के टाइम पे खर्च नहीं कर रहे हो, लेकिन जब आप नया इक्विपमेंट खरीद रहे हो तब तो खर्च कर रहे हो ना. So in a 2-year time you will need to purchase a new equipment, then you move 2 years later, then suddenly you will find that one machine has gone bad, now you need to purchase that machinery. So it feels that you are not spending cash, but unfortunately you are. The bigger your business, more frequently these expenses, capex expenses are going to be. You will see that for big businesses, almost every year there are negative cash outflow because of capex. For a small business, you will see every second year or third year, it's almost like, let us say, all those of you who are responsible to manage the household expenses, आपको लगेगा कि यार every third year I am purchasing one major item, every third month or fifth month. It is because you purchase so many major items. The exact individual major item is not, for example, हर 3 महीने पे आप टीवी नहीं खरीदोगे, लेकिन हो सकता है कि इस साल टीवी खरीद लिया जो कि 5 साल चलेगा, लेकिन अभी fridge has already become 5-6 years older and now I need to replace. So next time I purchase the fridge, then something else will go bad. So basically this process keeps happening. So that is why we do not go back to EBITDA, because we will miss out on all those capex, maintenance capex. That is why we stop only at EBIT. ठीक है, समझा गया?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So this was just one illustration of, if you are a stakeholder, what is the process that you should be following to understand that what ratios are needed to explain, or rather to make the decisions better. Here, apart from the 2-3 ratios that I have mentioned, the process is more important. That how do you fix objective, then if you need to bifurcate the objectives, bifurcate the objectives, then for every objective look for necessary and sufficient conditions. Do not confuse the necessary conditions as sufficient conditions, or vice versa. Look for appropriate numerator and appropriate denominator. That's all we have seen so far. Examples for that. Now what we will do is that we will go very straight away, like almost like an attempt to cover the book, is that we will look at some of the frequently used ratios. We will try to look at their formula, okay, and we will try to understand that what sort of stakeholders would want to look at these ratios and whether they would want this ratio to be high or low, okay. in considering the time we have left, I will try to go with the more relevant ratios first, and then I will come to the little bit less relevant ratios slightly later. Okay, so basically I'll go to the more important one first. Here is. Okay, so as I have already said, that we can bifurcate all the ratios into these 4 headings: liquidity, solvency, profitability, and or efficiency or capital market standings. In these 4 subclasses, these are just means these are not very hard and fast classification. Agar aap different books dekhenge to these classification can vary, but this one has been taken from RNS book, so I'll just go for convenience. Liquidity ratio simply denotes short-term liquidity. I have already defined liquidity in the class today, so that's what is the definition of the liquidity: their ability to pay up obligations in short term. So one such ratio is current ratio. It is calculated as current assets divided by current liabilities. So you have all the current assets. What sort of current assets? You have inventory, you have account receivable, you have prepaid assets, you have advance payments in numerator. What sort of items you have in denominator? You have outstanding rent, outstanding salary, you have accounts payable, you have any other type of payables, short-term payables. So this is what constitutes your numerator and denominator. Now, quick question: who would want to know about this ratio, and whether they would want this ratio to be high or whether they would want this ratio to be low? For a reference, you can keep just a moment. Sorry, just one moment. For a reference, you can keep this chart in mind, that these are the different stakeholders I'm talking about: investor, lender, manager, employee, suppliers, government, competitors, customers. कौन इसमें interested रहेगा, and whether they would want this ratio to be high or they would want this ratio to be low. Yeah, go ahead.
Lenders will be interested.
Lenders would want this to be high or low?
High होना चाहिए sir.
Lenders would want this to be as high as possible. Fine. Who else? Buyers.
Suppliers.
Good. Suppliers, they would want this ratio to be as high. I think needless to speak that the more assets, short-term assets are there, the more confident. Oh, one most important asset is missing here is cash and equivalent. So they would be more confident that their payments will not be defaulted. Fine. Anybody else? How about owners?
Employees.
And employees also, internal stakeholders also, they know that business is solvent.
Employees, especially if you are employee of, let us say, Jet Airways. Fine. You would be interested कि company के पास cash है कि नहीं, हमारी salary मिलेगी कि we should start revising our resume and sending it across. Right? So all these parties would want this ratio to be high. How about owners and management? By owners, I mean shareholders.
It's not too high. वो फिर आप
high but not too high. Okay, high but not too high. Okay.
The one हो तो सबसे अच्छा है.
One हो तो सबसे अच्छा है. How did you come up with this magic number 1?
Sir, मतलब इसका मतलब I am using all of my assets efficiently. Otherwise मतलब कुछ asset ऐसे ही पड़ा हुआ है.
How? Just because
मतलब कुछ cash मेरा use नहीं हो रहा है.
Okay.
It's not all cash.
Okay. It is not only cash. It is inventory. It is account receivable. It is other stuff also. Okay. So what Abhishek is trying to say is that have this ratio as 1. Okay, fine. Similarly, in some other books also, you will see this reference number that have this ratio as 2 or have this ratio as 1.689, whatever your lucky number. What would owners want? They would want this ratio to be high or low. What would management want?
This number will depend upon what kind of industry are we talking about.
Perfect. What kind of industry? Let us say you're talking about FMCG industry now.
So not very high, sir, because
basically not very high. Why not very high? People are very fussy about these numbers being high. The moment you become management or owners, what does it mean? These, if you look at them closely, all of these are not resources, but these are the reasons where resources are stuck. What is account receivable? Is it an asset for you? It is definitely an asset for you, but this is also represents that your resources are stuck in this format. You would want to release it as fast as possible. In an ideal world is possible. You would want account receivable to fall down to 0. How about prepaid? You would not want to give any prepayment. If possible, give only late payments, right? In an ideal world. Or would you want to pay everybody upfront? कि सबको पूरी साल की सैलरी एम्प्लॉइज को पहले ही दे दिया?
नहीं.
You understand what are we talking about? That all these short-term assets, these are even though they are assets, they are not productive assets. They are there to make sure the smooth functioning of the organization. They enable a lot of things, but ideally speaking, as an owner or a management, you would want them to as low as possible. But you would still don't want these ratios to go that low that you stare at a possible default. So as long as default possibility is not reached, you would want this ratio to fall down as much as possible. So bottom line is that there are certain stakeholders who would want this ratio to be as high as possible. There are certain stakeholders who would want the same ratio to be as low as possible. But definitely even owners and management would not want these ratios to fall to the danger level. कि कंपनी अच्छी खासी प्रॉफिटेबल है, but just because you defaulted upon 2 interest payments, suddenly the government is coming and sealing off your entire production facility. Fine? यहाँ तक समझ में आया? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is a quick ratio? Quick ratio is just a small relative of current ratio. Quick ratio, the formula is exactly same except for, so the formula is current assets divided by current liability, except for in current asset, we don't take inventory and we don't take prepaid. Okay. Why don't you take inventory and prepaid? Because there are certain doubts about the quick conversion of these assets into cash. Suddenly let us say your debtor comes. So it is relatively easier to sell your marketable securities. Also, it is relatively easier to go and collect money from your debtors. But relatively speaking, the prepaid expenses are not going to fetch you money. अगर आपने Reliance का phone खरीदा है and you have paid for, let us say, next 9 months, and suddenly a borrower has come that give me my interest payment, you can't say कि अभी Reliance को advance दिया है वो वाला निकलवा के लाता हूँ. It's not going to happen. So that is why it is a stricter version of current ratio, and this also measures liquidity. Similarly, there is even one more stricter version that is called cash ratio. So in cash ratio, in numerator, you have cash and equivalents. And then in denominator, you have current liability. That indicates me that go ahead and find out that what are these equivalents. So whenever we mention cash, we also write a word called cash and cash equivalent. So that is your homework. Go ahead and find out that what are cash equivalents. क्या definition है? किसको बोलते हैं कि cash equivalent है? ठीक है? So these are the liquidity ratios we will do. The turnover ratios for the timing we will not do. We'll try to come back if the time remains. Come back to these ratios. We'll move to solvency ratios. Fortunately for us, all the solvency ratios we have already discussed. We have discussed debt to equity ratio. We have discussed debt to total asset ratio. We have also discussed interest coverage ratio. Who would want to use these ratios? Interest coverage, debt to equity, debt to total asset, ये सब कौन पढ़ेगा?
Investors.
Lenders.
Investors and management would want to see this, shareholders or the would want to see this. Who all would want this ratio to be high? Who would want this ratio to be low? Investors. By investor, I mean current shareholders. Or okay, let us call investors as. Let us ignore investors. Let us call them either lenders. Sorry. My tab has just revolted. Yeah. What do I do? Escape button ढूंढना पड़ेगा.
लेंडर तो लो चाहेगा उसका ratio.
Lender चाहेगा ये ratio to be as low. So you are talking about debt to equity ratio, right?
Right.
Discard and late. Okay. So lenders would want this ratio to be as low as possible. Let us say debt to equity ratio only. We are talking about right now debt to equity ratio. Lenders would want this ratio to be as low as possible. Makes sense? How about shareholders?
Hi. Shareholder wants this ratio not to be very high.
Not to be very high, not very high. Okay. How about very low?
They would want it to be low.
Low
You
चाहिए.
want it to be low. Okay. You would want to take no loan for your business. Okay. दो तीन ही ऑप्शन है एक और कि you don't bother. Either you want it high, you want it low, or you don't bother. Basically, the shareholders, ideally speaking, they would want certain amount of debt in a business. As long as it is not sending any red signals. You will know more about this debate in detail in your financial management course. So in financial management, one entire topic is dedicated to this question, that how much of a loan would shareholders want in the business? It so turns out that the answer to this question is not that straightforward, but ideally speaking, in general, debt is a cheaper source of finance. Because it is cheaper, you would want to have some existence of debt in your business, but you don't want to have it as high that suddenly you start running into the danger zone. Okay? So answer to this question is that this answer needs a little bit of extra explanation, which will be covered in your, I don't know, second term or third term, whenever financial management comes. One dedicated topic is exactly for this point, that how much of a debt would the shareholders want. Okay? Let's go to interest coverage. Interest coverage, I think, is fairly simple. Interest coverage is EBIT divided by interest. Ideally speaking, everybody would want this ratio to be as high as possible. Owners would want this to be high, lenders, existing lenders, prospective everything. More profitable the company, the better it is. Fine. Let's go to the last section, which is, or rather second last section, which is more interesting. Efficiency ratios. Now, efficiency ratios are here. The word efficiency has exactly same meaning as in science. So in science, have you heard of efficiency of any machine? How do you measure efficiency of a machine? Anyone?
Output divided by input.
Output by input. If you have this formula, you would want output by input to be as low as possible. If you define input by output, then you want this ratio to be as high as possible. उल्टा ही बोल दिया क्या मैंने?
सर उल्टा बोल दिया.
उल्टा है सर.
इसका मतलब कि मैं थक गया हूँ. Okay. So you would want the output to be as high as possible, input to be as low. Similarly, you would want this ratio to be as low as possible. Okay. Now we will see that is the concept in finance. Only thing is that we will look at outputs and inputs at a different levels. So one output or input can be the margins. Now these margins, in some sense, we have already seen. When we were looking at the common size statement, we have already seen. When we prepared the vertical analysis of income statement, kind of in some sense, we looked at these margins. What are these? These are gross margin is gross profit divided by sales. EBIT margin is EBIT divided by sales. Net margin is net profit divided by sales. Basically, margin is that profitability per rupee of sales. So for example, if you have sold goods worth rupees 1 lakh and your gross profit is, let us say, 60,000, then you have a gross margin of 60% or 0.6 or 0.6. Similarly, if you have a net profit for the same company of, let us say, 23,000, so then your net margin is 23,000 of net profit divided by 1 lakh rupees of sales. So your net margin is 0.23 or 23%. All the well-wishers of a company would want these margins to be as high as possible. Employees will also be wanting these margins to be high, but only thing is that maybe they will go back and bargain for a little bit of hike in the salary. But I think all the well wishers, unless maybe you are a jealous competitor, you would want this ratio to be high. Okay? These ratios, easy to understand, very simple. Any questions until for these ratios?
No, sir.
Margin simply means that per rupee,
no, sir.
how much of a profit you made. And these profits could be EBIT, EBITDA, net profit, gross profit, anything. Next comes to asset turnover ratio. Now, what is an asset turnover ratio? Asset turnover बहुत frequently आपने सुना होगा. Basically, how efficiently are you using your assets? So the formula for this is sales divided by assets. Okay. Now here I'm going to tell you something. Now, where do you find sales? How do you get sales number? कहाँ मिलेगा आपको?
Income statement.
में मिल जाएगा. Where do you find assets? By assets I mean
Balance sheet.
balance sheet में मिल जाएगा. Okay. Now there is a problem. The problem is that so far debt to equity ratio में debt was also in balance sheet, equity was also in balance sheet. Gross margin से net margin में gross profit was also in income statement, sales was also in income statement. Basically, either numerator denominator both were from the stock concept or both were from the flow concept. Now we can have a situation where one item is coming from a flow concept, that is income statement, and one item is coming from the stock concept. अब यहाँ पे problem हो जाती है. What kind of a problem? When you say sales for the year 2021, what do you mean? You mean the sales for the entire year? All these months? But when you say total asset of 2021, what do you mean? You are saying total asset only at this point of time? ये समझ में आ गया?
Yes.
This is going to be a problem, that numerator is a figure which is representative for the entire period, but denominator is only at one point of time. हो सकता है सारा का सारा asset आपने इसी दिन खरीदा हो, just one day before closing the balance sheet आपने सारा asset खरीदा हो. So far, let us say you are saying that sales were 1,000 crore rupees and assets were 5,000 crore rupees. So you are saying that your sales turnover ratio is 1/5. By the way, these ratios could also be represented in a reverse manner, that total asset divided by sales. Only the interpretation would change, reverse. So as I said, that hard and fast rules कुछ नहीं होता इस ratio का. But we will continue to follow the format that has been mentioned in the RNS book for our purposes. By the way, it is not necessary that whatever I'm representing the format of the equations here or the formula here is I don't remember all the formula from the RNS book, but for you, go ahead and check. अगर मैंने कुछ reverse लिखा है, then for you, whatever has been mentioned in the RNS book, that applies. For the exam purposes only. For real life, it is very simple. If sales by assets hai, so you would want this ratio to be high. If assets by sales hai, you would want this ratio to be as low. Okay? Now, the point I'm trying to make here is that here we are facing a situation where one number is representative of only one point of time, but one is for the entire period. How do you overcome this situation? We apply a simplifying assumption, a simplifying trick to overcome this situation. हम क्या करेंगे? हम बोलेंगे when we started the year, let us say we had 4,000 crore का assets. When we ended the year, we had 5,000 crore का assets. So we will assume the average of the two is the representative asset of the entire period. समझ आया? Unfortunately, because the total asset is a balance sheet number, we will have only two pieces of points of time where these numbers are available. But the numerator number is 1,000 crore rupees, which is a number for the entire year 2021. So how do you correct for this fact that numerator is a flow figure and denominator is a stock figure? So you try to convert the stock figure into the flow figure. अब वो कैसे करते हैं? By doing this trick. So instead of sales by total assets, the formula is sales by average total assets. Now, whenever you have numerator, denominator, one number is from income statement, one from balance sheet, then the one which is from balance sheet, you calculate average of that. How do you calculate average? Opening value ले लो, closing value ले लो, उन दोनों का average निकाल दो. So here the calculation of this ratio will be 1,000 crore rupees divided by not 4,000, not 5,000, but 4 plus 5 divided by 2. This much. That is 4.5 thousand crore rupees. So this will be your asset turnover ratio. Yeah, Deepak. Deepak, uttam.
Yes, sir. The assets are both current and long term.
Okay, fine. Yeah, Pulkit, बताओ.
So I was saying कि like we are just talking the total assets. इसका एक और भी तो होता है cash turnover.
Cash turnover. अरे लाखों करोड़ों रेशियो होते हैं भाई. वो सब जा करके अपने उधर सेल्फ अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम में ओपन करना बुक या ओपन करना वेबसाइट. There are so many other different ratios. Anything can be divided by anything, and it may be a useful information in some situation. So as I said to you in the beginning of this topic, that this is just an indicative list of some of the frequently used standard terminologies. This is nowhere to say that these are the only main ratios that people calculate. You can calculate your own ratio. Okay? So this is what is the asset turnover ratio.
Sir, asset includes both, right? Current and long term?
Yes, yes. Total asset, that is total of your balance sheet. सब कुछ जोड़ने के बाद यहाँ पे तो balance sheet का total आता है वो वाला. ठीक है? For these also, for if you need clarification, go ahead. In RNS there are solved examples exactly for this purpose. You look at those ratios, you refer to, so RNS में there is a balance sheet given, there is an income statement given, and these numbers are calculated for your reference. So go ahead and practice those for exam. Unfortunately, you will be expected to have an understanding of the practice part of these questions as well. So I will try to send you the recommended questions, but make sure to see the solved examples as well. Apart from that, I will try to see if I can send solution of some of the questions from the end of the chapters. This I don't promise right now, but I'll try to see. Whatever I have already available, I'll try to send it. ठीक है? So solution मैं अब भेजने की कोशिश करूँगा, but you try to not miss the solved examples and then try to solve the questions on your own. What are we trying to say here? We are trying to say that not only you are expected to know what these ratios are, but you are also expected to know their calculation. ठीक है? Let us move to the next one. Return on asset and return on equity are very closely related. Return on asset is net profit divided by average assets, average total assets. Now where there was sales here, it just got replaced by net profit, and then it gets converted from asset turnover to ROA. So this is also very important ratio. This simply means that compared to the asset size you have, how much profit you are generating. This is a very frequently used ratio, especially used by prospective investors. So all kind of these portals you would see that they would give this ratio, the Money Control and your Ticker Tape and all these investment websites. Why? Because investors would want to see that compared to the asset size you have, how much net profit you are generating. Needless to say that all the well-wishers of a company would want this ratio to be as high as possible. Management would want this to be high, owners would want this to be high, every well-wisher would want this to be high. Maybe if it is too high, the suppliers and others will come with a harder bargain, but at least neutral speaking, they would want this ratio to be high. Okay. Then the last two the last two left here is, one is called return on equity. Now it is a variation of the similar ratio. Instead of total asset in the denominator, you have average total equity or average equity in the denominator. Here equity means retained earning. Go ahead and check the solved examples to get the confirmation. Here equity means owner's equity, and that is capital plus retained earning. Okay, so you are dividing net profit divided by average equity. What does this give? This gives that compared to the money that you have invested of the owners, how much profitability this company is generating. If I want to take one ratio, which is the most important ratio across all the ratio as far as owners are concerned, I would say that it is this ratio, that owners are most importantly interested. They want to know that how much profit the company is making vis-a-vis the amount of money they have invested from the owner's pocket. And higher this ratio, the better the company is. ठीक है, यहाँ तक कोई question?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, because this ratio is very important, this ROE is very important. That is why just knowing this ratio, that this ratio is this much, that much, might not be sufficient. For example, let us say I say that in this year Tata Motor has ROE of 20%, and in last year Tata Motors had an ROE of 25%. Now this is an information, important information, but it is not sufficient. You want to need know more. कि अरे ये ROE क्यों fall down हुआ? Why did it fall down? So to understand that, we have an analysis called DuPont analysis. Now what is the DuPont analysis? DuPont analysis is nothing but breakup of an ROE. So ROE is equal to what? Net profit divided by equity. I'm just ignoring average word here for the convenience sake. For calculations, you should keep on writing average. So what I will do is that I will break this ratio into three separate ratios. So I will say net profit divided by sales is one ratio. Sales divided by average assets is one ratio. And average assets divided by average equity is another ratio. Now, if you notice that I have just bifurcated or expanded the same ratio into three different components. Sales get cancelled here, average assets gets cancelled here, then all you will be left with net profit divided by equity. So it's the same ratio which has gotten expanded. यहाँ तक समझ आया? Now, why would I do this? Because if I want to say that this year my ROE was 20%, I want to see that it fell from 25 to 20 because of which component. Fortunately for us, we understand all of these components separately. Have we seen this ratio?
Net margin.
This is your net margin, net profit margin. Have we seen this ratio?
Asset turnover.
This is your asset turnover ratio. You might not have directly seen this ratio, but this is a variation of the debt to equity ratio, where in the numerator you have total asset and in the denominator you have equity. This is called leverage ratio. Leverage ratio.
Sir, average asset and total assets में क्या है? So same mainly.
पता नहीं क्या बोल रही हो महिमा, थोड़ा अच्छे से सवाल पूछो. What are you saying?
Hello, am I audible?
You are audible but not clear. Repeat the question, please.
Sir, average asset and total assets, they are same.
अरे नहीं, average total asset लिख लो यार.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, wherever balance sheet numbers are there, just imagine कि वहाँ हर जगह average आया हुआ है, whether I write it or not. Okay. So what we are trying to say here is that you want to say that if your return on equity is 20% this year, then you are going to analyze that, okay, in this year, how much of net margin I had, how much of turnover I had, and per rupee of equity, how much of asset base I could manage. What is the difference between this denominator and numerator? Difference is that of the money you have taken in form of debt, loan. यहाँ से यहाँ पे क्या difference है? If you have bought certain assets, then either it's your own money, by own money I mean owner's own money, or borrowed money. So that is why this ratio is called leverage ratio. So basically here in this expansion, you will get to know that if I have a particular ROE, how much of that is because of my net margin, how much of that is because of my ability to generate sales, that is sales turnover, and how much of that is because of my leverage, that is my ability to take loans. What does it give you? It gives you a comparison that maybe if last year versus this year you compare, then you will get to know कि 25 से 20% आपका क्यों fall down हुआ. Is it because now you are making less net profit per rupee of sale, or is it because your sale itself has fallen down compared to your asset size, or is it because the asset size itself has fallen down? What is the reason? ये समझ में आ गया?
Yes sir.
Conceptually speaking, numbers तो आपको करने ही पड़ेंगे खुद से. Unfortunately, I don't have time for doing the numbers. ठीक है? So that's when videos will come in handy. I will upload the videos. Also, I will send you solved examples to hai book mein. I will try to send you one or two solution to one or two questions. ठीक है? So that takes care of your practice part. Now, last bit is EPS. It is pretty simple. It is not necessarily a ratio which is understood in isolation. इसके लिए हमको कुछ और चाहिए होगा. That we will see in the next slide. But EPS is what? EPS is net profit divided by number of shares. This is numerator is कि profit कितना कमाया है, and denominator is that how many slices I need to bifurcate or slice the pie into. That these many claimants are there, and this is what is the total size of the pie. EPS is profit per piece of slice. That is earning per share. If you hold 2 shares of, let us say, Tata Motors, how much profit belong to you? If EPS is, let us say, 5 rupee, then 10 rupee is your share in the entire profit of the Tata Motors. ठीक है, समझ में आया? आपके पास 2 शेयर हैं और टाटा मोटर्स का EPS है, let us say 5 rupees each. That means because of the 2 shares you hold, you represent, or rather you claim 10 rupee of the total profit of the Tata Motors. Yeah, Deepak, go ahead.
So we receive a statement like EPS is this on GAAP basis, non-GAAP basis. What is that?
Okay, GAAP, non-GAAP, these are accounting standards. Okay, so accounting standards are, did I tell you, I would have kept telling you कि ये rules and regulations पे depend करता है, right? These rules and regulations can be accounting rules or legal rules of the company law or anything else. Primarily, they are accounting rules. So these accounting rules can be of different type. Some are US GAAP, some are called IFRS, some are called Indian accounting standards. Similarly, let us say Timbuktu has Timbuktu accounting standard. Let us say Zambia has Zambia accounting standards. What different countries will have different accounting standards. So these are all set of rules कि हम इस rule के हिसाब से हमने calculate किया. ठीक है? Okay. Now last bit of ratios are called capital market standing. These are not like very standard bifurcation, but just for convenience sake, we have classified it. The most important one is PE ratio, that is price to earning ratio. What is common across the capital market standing? That one piece of information will come from the stock markets. Okay. Typically, price of the share comes from the stock market. So PE ratio is price per share divided by earnings per share. So we have already defined what is earnings per share. That is net profit divided by number of shares. So if let us say Tata Motors has 10 rupee of profit per share and every share is selling in the market at rupees 250, then P ratio is going to be price, that is 250, divided by EPS, that is 10 rupee. So this company is trading at a 25 P. Now, who would want to use this ratio? Whether they would want this ratio to be high or low, you can imagine. One of the most important users of this ratio are going to be current and future investors or shareholders. Current shareholders, whether they would want this ratio to be high or low.
High.
They would want this ratio to be skyrocket. If the prices go 5 trillion, they are happy. The prospective shareholders, everything else remaining same, would want this ratio to be low. Maybe after they have bought it, then they want this to be high. But before buying, they would want this to be available for cheaper. So that is a typical trade-off of PE ratio. Similarly, price to book ratio is price per share divided by book value per share. Now here book value per share has a specific definition that I want you to see from the RNS book, because there can be different books which will define this book value per share slightly differently. But basically it means that whatever is the value of the equity in the balance sheet, so what you are paying for and what claim of assets you are getting is the numerator. What you are paying for is the numerator, and what you are getting is in denominator. As far as balance sheet is concerned, this one is income statement number, denominator. What is the dividend yield? Dividend yield is very simple. Price divided by dividend. Price, or rather dividend divided by price. इसको ऐसा क्यों calculate करते हैं? Because it is very intuitive. Dividend divided by price. Let us say price of Tata Motor share is 250 rupees, and then they have 250 in denominator. 250 rupees, and then they have declared a dividend of 7 rupees. So dividend yield is going to be 7 by 25, whatever that percent is. That means per rupee of price that you pay for the company share, how much percent they have returned back in form of a dividend. That is the meaning of the word dividend yield. Yeah, Pulkit, go ahead.
Sir, in this dividend yield, the price that we are taking is the current market price, or are we taking here it as the initial share price?
Initial share price क्या होता है?
तो जितने पे उसका जो face value होता है उसका?
नहीं, face value से इसका कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. Wherever we are mentioning price, these are all current prices.
Okay, sir, and then here price is also a flow, वो daily change हो रहा है. So जिस date पे वो announce करता है dividend, उस date का price मानते हैं हम.
Yes. Whenever you want to calculate that, as of today, what is dividend yield? You want to calculate what was the dividend yield at the beginning of the year. You want to calculate. So only thing, or rather, primarily the price will keep on changing. So you can calculate almost every minute of time, or even within a minute, so many times you can calculate P ratio. P ratio keeps on changing as long as the market is open. Not because EPS keeps on changing. EPS changes only after a quarterly interval, or at least annual results once they are available. But price keeps on changing as long as the trading is open.
But the dividend yield would vary from an investor perspective to the price they have bought in, right?
That's what I think. Okay.
That's what I think Pulkit was trying to understand.
No. Pulkit was trying to ask a similar but different question, but your question is also valid. Here, the dividend yield can be for prospective investors or for existing investors, both. Okay, for existing investors, it makes more sense to calculate the price at which you had bought the shares. But for existing investor, for prospective investor, it is current prices, right? Even maybe अगर existing investor को भी calculate करना है existing price के basis पे dividend yield, it's perfectly fine, no problem at all.
Yeah, to compare it with the opportunity cost.
उसको ये पता करना है ना कि भाई आज के डेट में मार्केट में what sort of situation people are facing. Maybe they want to purchase more, or they want to offload it and purchase some other share. तो उसका आज का डिविडेंड यील्ड देखेंगे, ठीक है? So this is dividend yield. It depends upon what purpose you are calculating. For that purpose, whether the price will be current price or the price you have purchased the share for is the correct price, depending upon what purpose you are going to use the ratio for. ठीक है? Okay. पुलकित बताओ. Done?
Oh, sorry, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Who else was asking? Yeah, Deepak बताओ. Done?
Sir, book value कैसे calculate हुआ था?
बुक वैल्यू मैंने जानबूझ के इसीलिए नहीं बताया है क्योंकि बुक वैल्यू इज स्लाइटली कंटेस्टेड वन. वो उसमें देख लो कोई ये चीजें ऐड करनी है, उसमें 3 चीजें जो ऐड करने को लिखा है फॉर्मूला में वो लिख देना ना. ऑल दीज इंफॉर्मेशन आर अवेलेबल इन द बैलेंस शीट. ओके, typically they are owners equity. Why am I not telling you this is that highly likely what the formula I remember is different from the book. अब मैं गलत बोल दूंगा, सेशन रिकॉर्ड हो रहे हैं, आप मेरे गले पड़ जाओगे कि सर आपने तो ये बोला था. ठीक है, तो जो आरएनएस में जो लिखा है बुक वैल्यू का डेफिनेशन वही होगा. एंड इट्स इंटरप्रिटेशन इज प्रीटी सिंपल दैट आई एम टेलिंग यू. इट इज द प्राइस यू आर पेइंग पर रूपी ऑफ बुक वैल्यू ऑफ द asset. What is the meaning of the book value? The book value meaning is that how much money belong to the owners in the balance sheet. Okay. Typically it will be owner's equity, but if it is anything different, go ahead and check from the book. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Okay. So that concludes our discussion about the ratios. One exercise I would have loved to take, but I don't. I have already exceeded the time a little bit. So so be it, no problem. But I will give you enough resources that you can tap to practice. In case you are feeling nervous, do not hesitate to ask. Okay. But only problem is कि maybe people have not been coming back to me to ask because आप लोग वो practice कर ही नहीं रहे हो. तो practice करोगे तो questions आएंगे तो you will reach back. But it should not be कि you did the practice, you were not sure and still you didn't reach back to me. ठीक है? तो highly likely because all these videos versions are available to you, a lot of material is available. Then you have a lot of solved examples in RNS book. Do not underestimate the solved examples of RNS book, especially for the later half of the topics. For depreciation chapter, for ratios, even for preparation of financial statement. I would say solved examples are very good in the RNS book. So use that. Apart from that, I am anyway sending you some of the questions that I suggest you to solve from the different topics. For cash flow statement and for ratios also, I will be sending you the questions. You try, give them a try. For some of the questions, I will send you the solutions so that you can match whatever you have prepared. Of course, I will not send you solution tomorrow. I am going to send it very close to exam. ताकि आप लोगों को डर के मारे ट्राई कर चुके हो. अभी आपको कितना भी बोलूँगा अभी आप ट्राई करोगे नहीं. ठीक है? So that's it. I think that covers everything about project. I will give it to you in the email today. And you said there are 68 of you, right?
69.
69. Okay. What sort of number? 5 each.
So there were 2 dropouts.
So 68 only there are.
नहीं अब dropouts को हटा के बताओ भाई ऐसा मत करो. Okay, fine. So let us make 6 in each group, so that will make 66. 11 groups of 6 each, and then we will have 2 people. So 2 groups can have 7 people. ठीक है? जिसने भी पहले ग्रुप बना दिया लोगों को फ्लोट कर देना कि हम लोगों ने 7 लोगों का ग्रुप बना दिया है. सेकेंड टीम ऑल्सो विल बी अलाउड. अपने दोस्तों को, मुझे मत हर एक चीज में सीसी मत करना. ठीक है? तो अपने ग्रुप में जहां पे भी यू कैन यूज द व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप फॉर दिस पर्पसेस कि सबको बता दिया था हमने, और अपना टॉपिक लेके भी तुरंत से बता देना. इंस्ट्रक्शंस विल बी सर्कुलेटेड. सो 2 ग्रुप्स कैन हैव 7 पीपल ईच. रेस्ट ऑल ग्रुप्स विल हैव 6 पीपल ईच. ठीक है?
Sir, so we are supposed to make the group on our own. Correct?
Yes. You want me to do it? बता दो, मैं कर दूंगा, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. ठीक है, मैं कर देता हूँ. Okay, I will make the groups. Fine. So ये सब बताने ये सब का झंझट ही खत्म हो गया. Okay, fine. So I will make the groups. I will communicate to you apart from the instructions. So very importantly, you guys need to tell me the deadlines because I don't know your commitments. You guys know your commitments better. अपना commitment discuss करके अपना deadline बता देना and make sure that the line is dead. Don't make it come alive just 2 minutes before the end of time कि सर अब तो हमको extension चाहिए. ठीक है? अपना अभी से decide कर लो. Whatever deadline you guys are going to suggest, I am okay with it. Of course, given कि ऐसा मत बोलना कि सर last semester के last day को जमा करेंगे. इसी टर्म में जमा कर देना.
इसका डेडलाइन है
सर. कितना क्रेडिट होगा उसका? व्हाट इज द क्रेडिट इन ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट?
व्हाट इज ग्रेड?
यस सर.
आई डोंट नो. ये तो क्लास के स्टार्ट में ही कभी बताया होगा, मुझे याद नहीं है इतना. व्हाटएवर आई हैड सेड अर्लियर, आई थिंक 30%. आई डोंट रिमेंबर. और वाज द क्विज 30%? आई डोंट रिमेंबर. क्विज और प्रोजेक्ट में कुछ 30-20% था आई थिंक.
क्विज का रिजल्ट भी आउट कर दो सर.
हां सर,
क्विज का रिजल्ट आउट नहीं हुआ सर.
आ जाएगा रिजल्ट, आ जाएगा. थोड़ा तैयारी तो करना शुरू करो नेक्स्ट वाला, कि जब तक रिजल्ट नहीं आएगा तब तक नेक्स्ट नहीं तैयार करोगे. ऐसा मत करना. So I think that's it from my side. But
one thing, if you could just tell us the pattern for the end term, like what will be the pattern for the end term?
Pattern will be that exam is going to be very difficult. It will kill you.
No sir, I mean like जैसे आपने quiz में दिया था, second quiz में like the we have to.
Highly likely, I told you, ये सवाल तो पिछले इसमें भी किसी ने पूछा था कि